Tax deadline is getting closer and closer. It's a little over a month away. And today we're talking with Jonathan Frost with O Brien Tax Service. And he's got a few tax tips that are going to help us all as we get closer to that ordinarily April 15th deadline. But that's extended a couple of days this year.
Yes.
Tell us
it's
about
extended a little bit this year due to some holidays and things, but it's due April 15th, actually.
April 15th.
April 18th.
April 18th. What's the big change that a lot of folks are going to be looking at this year?
Most of the changes this year are relative to the Affordable Care Act. It's going to probably involve having to file that 1095. You have to have that form when you come and get your tax return prepared.
Right. And what happens if you don't have that form or if you've misplaced it?
If you don't have that form, you need to go back to your insurance company and request a copy of that form, but you need to have it for your documentation for proof that you had insurance.
And you've heard about this for a couple of years now, and folks seem to be getting a little better about keeping good electronic records and that sort of thing. What's the biggest mistake that you think most of us make when it comes to trying to do our own taxes?
I would say doing your own taxes most likely is going to be just some new laws that have come out, new regulations that have come out in the last year. And you're not going to realize what those are. Also, when you're using maybe TurboTax, which is a good product, but if you've got a little bit more complicated return, we have rental properties or your own sole proprietorship, you might miss some additional items that TurboTax frankly doesn't really ask you.
Sure. All right, you mentioned rental properties. Give us an example on that.
So rental property could be that you might not know to depreciate the rental property. That's an important part. The IRS requires you to depreciate the rental property.
And what about if you have to spend a substantial amount of money in maintaining that rental property?
Correct.
Is that deductible?
Correct. Yes, it is. It is deductible. And also even mileage related to your rental property. So if your rental property is, say, down in Florida, you're able to write off some of the miles that you're incurring that expense.
All right, you talked about sole proprietorships. Give us one of the big changes affecting the sole business owners.
Well, there hasn't been any significant changes for sole business owners per se. It's more just what's involved with the actual individual tax return.
Right.
But for most of them, keeping your own records and keeping your accounting records in QuickBooks for your business or a system called Xero is very important. And so you want to use a professional to help you with that.
Have the standard deductions increased or decreased this year?
They've increased this year. It's at $6,300 for single, and for married filing jointly, it's going to be $12,600 this year.
And what about mileage rates? They seem to fluctuate every year. You're
Yes.
talking about going to your rental property in Florida or wherever.
Exactly. So those mileage rates do change from year to year, and so for 2016, it's 54 cents a mile. So it's very important to remember that. You also can deduct mileage for medical purposes. If you're traveling for surgeries and things like that, that's 19 cents a mile. And also, if you're working for charitable organizations, you can deduct those miles as well.
And there's a lot of different changes, it seems, like when it comes to residential energy costs. I know a lot of folks are going solar-powered this and other green ways of energy, if you will, and that can actually come out to your benefit.
Exactly. There's tax credits out there for your residential energy credits. So if you decide to put a new central air conditioner in, you can get up to $300 in a credit. And you have to go to those vendors to get the specific forms that support the fact that that is an energy-saving piece of equipment to be able to get that credit.
And document.
Yes,
You're absolutely
exactly.
right.
Maintain your documents.
Jonathan Frost, thanks so much. You can get in touch with Jonathan Frost at O Brien Tax Service at 4810 Hickson Pike, 4810 Hickson Pike, or the website, $99taxreturn.com. Once again, $99taxreturn.com.